everybody. Thank you so much for joining. I just wanted to quickly mention, thank you for coming, and we will be able to offer a free SEO audit. So please stay till the end and I will get you more information on how to do so. Hello, everybody. My name is Megan Ledford. I am the project manager for Advanced XP. I just really would love to thank everybody for registering and attending today. So let's get started. So unfortunately, the founder, Michael, is unable to attend today. He had a medical emergency, so we wish him all the best. So I will be covering his part in SEO. He is the master of SEO, so I will try and do him justice. But like I said, I'm Megan. We also have an awesome photographer and videographer with us, Paul Novaso, and Jake Ledford, who is our UX and UI designer. So we are a full service digital marketing agency located in downtown Fishers. We started about 1 year ago and I joined earlier this year. So what do we do? Like I said, full service digital marketing. So here are some of our services: web design, SEO, photography, videography, content email marketing, PPC, the list goes on. So be sure to check out our website after the webinar. So here's kind of an overview of what we're going to be discussing. So we're going to talk a little bit about web design and user experience. So we're mostly going to focus on UX and what that is and how that could translate over to your business. Then we're going to talk about SEO, search engine optimization, so good practices and methodology, as well as some tools you could utilize with your business, as well as social media, the do's and the don'ts for your business. And then lastly, photography and videography, so how you can elevate your social media with photos and videos. So first, I'm going to hand it off to Jake to speak about UX design.
Hello, everybody. My name is Jake Ledford, and I'll be taking things over first. At Advanced XP, I'm our lead user experience designer, or UX designer. So I'm going to be talking about exactly what that means, what UX design can do for your business, and how to implement it effectively. So what is user experience design? UX design is the study of, research of, and implementation of design systems and the way in which we create things specifically geared towards a customer base. UX design helps us think about and act upon the ways in which we can design things to be more accessible and more easy to use for all kinds of people. So, why does UX design matter? Well, it matters because it's the glue that holds together the relationship between clients and businesses. Without a good backing of UX design, no trust can be formed. This is why it's so essential. So let's take a look at some examples of good design, some bad design, and some takeaways from each. So what's a good example of good user experience design? It might be hard to think about or visualize it in a practical way. So I'll tell you a story. This is by far one of my favorites. This watch you see is the EONE watch, created by founder Hyung-Soo Kim. If you look at the right side of my screen, you'll see there are two metallic balls on this watch, one on the face and one on the side. These balls act as the hands for the watch. This watch was specifically created for blind people. People who are blind or visually impaired can easily tell the time with this watch by feeling the position of the middle balls. Additionally, people who are able to see can also tell the time just by looking at the position of the balls. Essentially, you can tell the time through touch or sight. So you might be asking yourself, how is this great design? Well, the great design here is actually in the story of how this watch was created. You see, when Mr. Kim was an engineering student in college, he had the idea of creating a watch for blind people. He decided that he would engineer a watch that had braille on it so that blind people could read the time via touching the watch. He created the braille watch and gave it to blind people to get their feedback on what they thought about it. To his surprise, nearly all the blind people he gave the watch to threw it away. He found out that virtually no blind people actually know how to read Braille. He created a watch for blind people without actually talking to blind people. The reality is, many businesses create products and websites for what they think people would actually like without actually talking to the people who they're creating for. So what did Mr. Kim do? He went back and created a new version of the watch with the help of the people he's going to be creating for. Now with this new iteration of the watch, not only can blind people use it, but everyone can use it. Hence the name EONE, or everyone. By listening to the needs and wants of the people he's going to be creating for, not only was he able to satisfy their struggles, but he also made a watch that anybody could use and ended up actually making more money because of it. He made a real impact by listening and empathizing. So, what are some of the takeaways that we can get out of this, and how can we apply this in our own businesses? Well, the first major takeaway is to listen to your clients. Whether you're providing a fitness service or selling an app to help people in your community, listening is among the most powerful things that you can do. Understanding the struggles of your clients and putting yourselves in their shoes, you as leaders can implement real changes that will not only make your existing clients happy, but help attract new ones too. So, what are some current problems in design? Well, in the last several decades, corporations created a trend of implementing bad design practices. A lot of those trends still continue today and is the biggest problem competing against these bad practices. These include the exploitation of clients and customers, as well as putting profits over people. Let's take a look at what some of these bad examples might look like, as it can take on many different forms. This is Innisfree. As you can see, their branding on their product states that it's a paper bottle. Just by looking at the product on the outside, it might just seem like that. However, beneath the paper, there's actually plastic. Here, this business used the idea of marketing to make their products seem more eco-friendly in order to draw in more customers. This is extremely bad because they purposely misleading customers in order to make more money. As you can imagine, when people found this out, it gave them a bad reputation, which is something we all want to avoid. Moving on to example 2. Amazon Prime does not tell you if a movie or show will be available in your country until after you subscribe. Of course, the average customer won't know this, so they'll subscribe to Amazon Prime for a month, only to find the show they wanted to watch isn't available after they had already spent their money. Isn't that annoying? Imagine if you were in their shoes. Again, these are trends we want to look for, putting profit over people. As we go through these examples, we want to think about how we can intentionally avoid these sorts of bad practices in our own business. Example 3. This video went viral 10 days ago when someone posted a clip of themselves not being able to pump gas at a gas station until after an ad had played. Here, the gas company is taking advantage of its customers and, quite frankly, taking them for granted. Forcing customers to watch advertisements before them being able to pump gas does not take into consideration what situation everyone is in. And this is a great example of a company that didn't empathize with its customers. As we talked about, UX design is the glue of the relationship between a client and a business, and it's very important to maintain that glue. One last example. In this online checkout service that you see, underneath the More Info tab, there's actually a box that's checked by default, and it makes users subscribe to an email service. Again, this company is hiding the fact that they're trying to trick customers into subscribing to an email service that they might not even want. So what can we take away from all of this? Think about your business model. Think about all the interactions and agency that your client could have. Think about all the places in your business model where you could intentionally trick your customer into spending more money. Think about the places on your website where you can make it more inaccessible to certain types of people. Perhaps your website is too confusing to use or not tailored for those who are colorblind, for example. All of these are important to consider when developing your brand and product. It is important to be conscious of these facts as we move forward. So, what does Advanced XP do? Well, we like to put you all first. We actively fight against the norms and create products and brands to make our clients happy. We ensure that everything we create is tailored for those who are going to use the product as well. We also make the product transparent. That way, we develop a strong bond between us and our clients by implementing these types of practices, and you can do the same. With that, I'm going to hand things off to Megan. Thank you again.
Thanks, Jake. So now I'm going to talk more about SEO and how it works. So what is SEO? Well, like I said, search engine optimization, and it improves the quality and the quantity of traffic to your website. And so how does it work? So basically it's words you type into Google that have different quantities of traffic. So with SEO, your goal is to find no more than 3 to 5 keywords that people are typing into Google that are best for driving traffic to your website or to your blog. And so kind of speaking more on website traffic, what is the difference, and I guess what is organic versus paid traffic? So organic is basically the natural traffic that comes to your website or your blog. Paid is Google ads that are paid for that hopefully show up on the first page of Google. So with that, I will say when it comes to paid ads on Google, less than 10% are going to click on an ad from a term they searched on Google. So I guess people may say, you know, what's the point of having paid ads? Well, for starters, it's a great branding strategy and name recognition strategy. So, you know, the more you use that ad to get to the front page of Google, the more that users are going to see at the top. This can also then help generate leads, maybe when other marketing seasons are slow, and then also maybe help targeting specific demographics as well as, you know, testing keyword strategies. And so just kind of a fun graphic and interesting graphic to look at based on popular search engines. And you can see that Google really outranks the rest of them at 92.4%. So you can kind of see why it's really, really important to optimize your website or your blog for Google. It's really key in making sure that, you know, you're getting closer and closer to the front page of Google. So that kind of leads me into how pages, you know, are ranked on Google. So basically, it's based on these key points. So having a secure website. There's been many clients that have come to us. We pull up their website and right at the top it says not secure. So that's like the first thing you really want to take care of and make sure, you know, secure websites are usually more trusted by a user. You want to have an active social media presence, which I can touch more on in the next section of social media. You want to have a consistent NAP, and NAP stands for name, address, phone number. So you want to make sure your website has the correct name, address, phone number that also matches your Google My Business, and so on and so forth. Everything needs to be consistent. That Google likes that. It ranks you higher. And reduce warning and errors on your website. So, you know, 404 errors of page not loading, things like that. The less that you have of those, the higher you'll be ranking. Page speed and mobile friendliness. I have these highlighted here for a reason. These are probably within, you know, the top 5, even, you know, top 1 and 2 factors into page ranking. Page speed is huge. The more technology we get, the faster things are, the more impatient people are. And if your page is not loading like this, you will most likely have page abandonment, which just means exactly what it sounds like, is a user will leave your website. So mobile friendliness, Google just announced that they are starting to rank websites that are mobile optimized higher and first now. So you want to make sure that your website is mobile optimized. And what does that mean? It basically just means that whenever somebody goes onto their phone to your website, are they able to see all the content that would be on the desktop? Is it easily accessible, easy to use? Like Jake mentioned, you know, accessibility, usability is key and is getting bigger and bigger as the years go on. SEO content, search engine optimized content, that's huge as well. And I'll touch more on this on backlinking and content for your website. But basically, this just means, are you using the proper keywords within each page of your website to make sure that, you know, these are the words that are trending and ranking you higher on Google. So this is huge. If you don't have good structured content or good keywords, you're not going to be ranking high. And then backlinks. So I'm going to get a little bit more into backlinks in the next few slides, but you can think of a backlink as like a citation. So if you're referencing something in your website and you want them to go to that website, you would just link it. So moving on to keyword research and content. So just best practices. So we really love to hold a client discovery SEO meeting. So basically, we just like to know the nuts and the bolts that really go into the business and kind of, you know, what's crucial in the business and in understanding, you know, what kind of keywords we're going to need. So, and then if you know, obviously, if you're not a digital marketing agency, just kind of really understanding your goals and your brand of who you are. And then 2 is brainstorming keywords. So this is huge too. This is, you know, Michael will, you know, have a brainstorm session and come up with, you know, 100+ keywords that people are searching for online. So what buyers are using to find you. And then 3 is just software tools. So using, you know, free or paid services to find out what your competitors are using for their keywords and how they're ranking higher on a page. And then continued into that is also discovering different variations of keywords to use. You know, I mean, there are some crazy keywords and phrases that people use to search on Google. So it's just about narrowing down to the correct ones. And then lastly, just organizing your collected keywords. You want to really separate them out by page. So for example, I'll use Indiana Home Remodel as one of our clients. She has, you know, a contact us page. She has a residential, she has like a tiling page, kitchen remodeling page. So things like that, you want to make sure that you're having 3 to 5 keywords that you're using throughout in your content, and then just organizing that and make sure you're focusing on those. So I kind of wanted to touch on some free tools that you could use. We love SEMrush. We think it's great. They have a small free version and a pro version. So this just kind of helps you see how your competitors are ranking on their website. And then same with Google Analytics. Google Analytics is free. And it basically lets you measure your ROI, track, you know, your social networking sites, and so on. And now I'm going to chat more kind of about what backlinking is. I know I briefly discussed it, but how it works is it's a link to another resource or website. It's like a citation, and this can help you rank higher on Google. But, you know, there are websites and blogs who can maybe overdo it or not do it well. So Google really likes quality over quantity. So quality over quantity really matters, meaning you don't just want any website to have your URL link on it for people to find you. So backlinks work both ways. So for example, if I were to write a blog, and I want to reference another website, I'd include that URL. But if, I'm partnering with another website or I have multiple companies, you would want to, have that company or your second company backlink to your other one. But again, you want to make sure those are meaningful backlinks. Okay. So frequently asked questions. These are just, the top questions we were asked, or, a lot of people ask online. So how long will it take before I get leads? So this is something that, a lot of people don't really understand about SEO is it takes, a lot of time. Most of our clients don't really see a return until like the 2 or 3 month mark, and it's constant upkeep. For some, it may, take 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, year, 2 years, it just really depends where you're ranking at on Google and how well your page is optimized, plus how well your competitors are doing, so, and it also just depends on the industry. So, kind of touched on this in the last one. If I have good rankings, can I stop SEO? Definitely not. SEO is continuous, regardless of how good it is. Like everything in life, things change. People's habits change. People's, search engine words change. And that's why it's really important that you're always staying on top of it monthly and quarterly to make sure you're finding the latest words that people are finding to buy your buy your products for your business. And that will bring you, the most ROI. So again, it takes a while. It depends on your industry, and you always want to stay on top of it. It's not something that you can say, oh, I'm doing so great. And you'll even see this if you go on, those free tools, SEMrush and so on. You'll see that some of them are doing awesome. They're finding their keywords, and then all of a sudden it just falls off because they stop doing their SEO and they're not getting as many people to their website anymore. So what about PPC? So I didn't really touch on this much, but PPC is pay-per-click, but it's incredibly important. It's basically, like I mentioned before, I guess, about the Google ads and how not everybody clicks on them. But like I said, it's extremely important to do a little bit of it to make sure that you're creating that brand awareness and drives more traffic. If they're not clicking on it, they're at least seeing it at the top of the page. And like with SEO, Google Ads needs to constantly be worked on and constantly needs to grow. All right. And then I touched on this as well, but how important is page speed and mobile friendliness? It is definitely, way up there, top 10 ranking factor of Google. So just really making sure that your speeds are up to date. So going with a good web hosting company and just having a good mobile friendly or mobile optimized website is key. And with that, I'll wrap up the SEO section and head on over to the social media section. So the do's and the don'ts. So, sorry, 1 second. All right. So did you know that there are 3.78 billion social media users worldwide, which is crazy to think about. And of those, 54% of users use social media to research products and services. And of that, excuse me, 57.5% of people are more likely to buy from your brand if they follow you on social media. So those are some just really interesting stats that I find I need to share with people, because if you're not on social media by now, you're really missing out on a large range of people. I mean, billions of people, even if you're just marketing within the state, that's still tons of people you're missing out on. And so kind of what are the values? So, building relationships, increasing that brand awareness. Like I mentioned in SEO, that's huge as well. Increasing website traffic. So I mentioned, Google Analytics, SEMrush, you can see kind of what social media channels are bringing website traffic to your website. And then you can just learn more about who your audience and customers are and what your competition is doing as well. And I apologize if you hear any sort of construction out there. I'm so sorry. So I just wanted to share a couple, tips for social media success. So which platform should your business be on? We get asked this a lot. I think a lot of people wonder, there's so many different platforms out there. How the heck am I supposed to figure out what I need to be on? The simple answer and the, less favorable answer by people is it just depends. It really does. But we have found a lot of success with small businesses on Facebook. But again, it really depends on your industry. It really depends on, where your audience is, who your demographic is, how old they are. But, again, we've had success with Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. However, right now, TikTok is one of the fastest growing social media platforms today. So we recommend, maybe starting off 1 or 2 platforms, kind of figuring out where your audience is. And then, like I said, there is a way to see what social media platforms are getting more traction to your website on Google Analytics. So you can maybe start playing with that once you put yourself out there or create, accounts. So next is caption writing, which can be really tricky. I even struggle with it constantly. It's just hard to always come up with new content and things like that. But the big no-no, I would say, is promotional or spammy. And so I included this Tampa's Lowry Park Zoo example. It's just very lengthy, very wordy. If anything, this should probably be cut down to 1 or 2 sentences at the most. There's no visuals or anything like that. And so on this next slide, here's an example of one of our clients that we've done good caption writing for. So it has a call to action with their phone number, their website link, short and sweet, literally 3 sentences. And one of those is how a call to action. It's humanizing. You can see in the post, it talks about, we're so thankful to have great clients, call us today, we'll make sure you have your dream home, things like that. Proper use of hashtags. I didn't even get to touch on hashtags. There's so many elements that go into social media, but hashtags is huge. It's a way to show what's trending and kind of show up on those, explore pages and pop up on people's timelines. And we suggest around 3 to 5 hashtags is what we've seen and what other, networks have seen be successful. And then this is also a promoted post. So you'll see you'll see the business name, Indiana Home Remodel, they're a contractor, remodeling business, and then there's a learn more button. So another great call to action. And then here's just another brief example of one of our clients. So Avant-Garde Limousines, awesome limousine company. But you can kind of see, before he had us do social media, it was just more like text, not a lot of visuals. So we kind of elevated his social media game, and you can see, oh, Fleet Feature Friday, here's our vehicle, here's all of their awesome features. Here's a website link to view more of them or book your ride. So now I'm going to touch more on engagement, which is also really, really huge. Doesn't matter? Absolutely. You can see here that based on this little poll, being responsive was ranked 48%. It was the top ranking factor. And so, being engaged and being responsive with your audience makes them want to come back. And kind of going off of that, 71% of users who had a positive experience with a brand on social media are way more likely to recommend the brand to their friends. So again, it's kind of like, Google reviews and things like that. All right. And then here's kind of a breakdown of why customers are reaching out and to your brand. So basically it's, to ask a question, or, they have an issue with your product or your service, and even maybe want to say, wow, hey, thanks, this is an awesome product. I really love it. And then kind of going off of this and how to have better engagement. Sorry, I'm not sure why that's popped up there. That's for the next slide. But it's to respond. You want to respond to all comments and messages. You want to use images or videos in every post. You want to encourage your audience to like, share, and comment. And then you want to go above and beyond in your interactions. So I kind of have an example. It's up here in the right-hand corner, but here it is blown up. Netflix does a great job with kind of going above and beyond in their interactions with their audience. So, they're like, happy Canada Day, you got it, just funny, trying to be involved with their audience as well. And I know this may be obvious, but you really need to create engaging content. Which may seem easier than it sounds, but basically examples of this are, polls, quizzes, relatable posts, questions for your audience, things like that. And then I meant to mention when it comes to using images or videos in your posts, videos are now starting to rank higher on social platforms. So for example, Instagram just announced they're no longer a photo sharing app. And I believe LinkedIn also ranks videos higher than images now. And it sounds like a lot of social media is going that way. And then I just wanted to quickly share some awesome tools you need to be using. I recently found out about these top 2 ones that I think maybe not a lot of people know of. Everybody knows of Canva and Hootsuite, but GrabTag is for hashtags. So you basically can go in and type in like keywords, and it'll generate hashtags that are trending or relate to your post. Answer the Public is a great spot for content. So I mentioned earlier how content is just really hard to come up with sometimes. You're going through, you're brainstorming, you just can't come up with anything. Basically, you enter a keyword here and it will give you questions people have searched for online for free. So you can kind of build off of that, and that may even help you with your keyword research for Google. And then I know I mentioned it before, but Canva and Hootsuite. Canva is awesome. I love Canva. It's a great content creator. You can do so much, even just with the free version. There is Pro, awesome version as well, but the free version seriously offers you so much as well. And then lastly, Hootsuite. Hootsuite I find to be one of the best content management planners and schedulers. It shows you analytics. You can have multiple accounts with the Pro version. They do have a free plan. It's just not as in-depth, and you may not be able to see as many analytics. And so with that, I'm going to move into frequently asked questions for social media. So when should I be posting, and does it matter? Absolutely, it matters when you should be posting. So what you can do is start analyzing your social accounts and see when your audience is online, or when you have the best organic reach and engagement. And you can see this on any platform that you have, and just by kind of seeing, oh, I'm going to post today at 10 o'clock and see how many likes I get in an hour or something like that. So yes, it does matter. And again, when you should be posting, another it depends answer, which I hate to say, but it really does, because it depends on your audience. And then with that, how often should you be posting? Well, again, this largely depends on your audience, but I like to say with Facebook, usually, 3 to 4 times a week, but it depends on the platform. It depends on, again, when your audience is online. And you also don't want to be too spammy with your content, kind of like with the captions. And then, this is another question for, that small businesses have, or people just starting out, like they're overwhelmed. How do I get started? Well, 3 things. You want a goal, a strategy, and your target audience. Actually 4. Time is huge. A lot of our clients come to us because they just don't have time. Social media can be a full-time job in itself. I mean, look at all the influencers out there who literally do this full time. So again, a goal, a strategy, and your target audience is where you really should start laying it out. If you come up with a strategy, you'll find it a lot easier to, you know, have a posting schedule and content schedule and things like that. And how long does the average person spend on social media per day? I find this really interesting. I love to tell people about it. But as of 2019, it was only 1 hour and 15 minutes. Then 2020, it jumped up all the way to 2 hours and 24 minutes. And now it's a little bit higher in 2021, just due to, you know, COVID and quarantining. So now it's up to 2 hours and 32 minutes per day. So which is like a 7-minute increase overall, which is a lot. And, you know, as much as quarantining and COVID sucks and we're all over it, this is your time to take advantage of this situation and really, really start honing in on your social media and getting your brand out there. All right, and lastly, most popular platform. So Facebook actually still is the most popular platform today. According to Oberlo.com, the latest statistics show that Facebook continues to reign strong as the king of social media. So they have 2.8 billion active users as of earlier this year in January. So that means I think 2 out of every 3 of the 4.2 billion active social media users are active Facebook users. So that is another reason why we like to recommend Facebook as a starting point for most businesses. And with that, I am going to hand it off to Paul to talk about photography and videography.
Hey everyone. So when it comes to digital marketing, having good quality photos and videos are important in order to reach potential customers and create those long-lasting relationships. In today's age, in order to keep up with the competition, your business's photos and videos should be held up to a high standard in order to top the competitive market. So in the next 10 minutes or so, I'm going to talk about why photography is important, how it helps your business, how to tell the difference between a good quality photo and a bad quality one, why videography is important and how it helps your business, as well as different video options your company could do that would work for them. And first, we'll start with photography. So the aim of advertising and marketing is to sell your products and your services. So photos apply to all kinds of businesses and they perform many different functions, such as catching the eye of a prospective customer, helping make complicated concepts simple and easier to understand, enhancing a product or service's appeal, and all around just pulling your ideas together. The truth is that good photography can make a significant difference, raising an average advertising campaign to one that becomes extremely effective. They can tell a story, and a story is essential for customer engagement. Now, how does photography help your business? They raise the perception of quality. 3/4 of online shoppers use images of products to inform their decisions. And it's crucial that these images that you use are of the highest quality. An average image can work well sometimes, but good quality photos will help improve user engagement even further. They're also very versatile. You can use photographs across a wide range of media, from your website through your email banners, your printer adverts, and onto your social media accounts. They also help to increase your website traffic. If you use photographs on your website, it's likely to receive as much as a 90% increase in traffic than a website that just doesn't feature images whatsoever. That's because the images help the SEO value of a website by way of the description and the alt tags that are embedded into the video, or into the photo, which helps search engines understand what your website relates to. They also help improve your brand identity. Photographs that use the best lighting and capture a subject from the best angle will help to capture the essence of your brand. They also help to establish brand identity and show what is unique about your business. Especially when all your photos that you have all match each other and they have a similar look to them, it helps just create and understand your brand as a whole, and people are able to recognize it more. When you want to include images on your website, it's easy and very tempting to use stock images sometimes, but unique images can increase your conversions by as much as 30%. You can also build a level of trust if you use your own images, and people are more likely to buy a service or product from you if you do. So how do we tell the difference between a good quality photo and a bad quality one? Well, most people can look at an image and you can tell if it's good or bad, but there's a lot more into it that determines what a good quality image actually looks like. So the composition of a photo matters quite a bit. So we try not to take only photos that are just straight on, but rather aim to get the subject into the thirds of the frame. It helps create better contrast and captivates the audience more. You can also add things to the background of a product shoot to make the image of the whole more appealing. By separating the image to a foreground, midground, and background, you can help create depth. Another thing is just your editing style. So bad quality photos are poorly edited or just they're not edited whatsoever. So they tend to look flat and sometimes just uninviting. By editing the photos and creating a certain style and feel with them, you can help show a potential customer or client what your business stands for and help better relate to them. Just by doing these basic things, you can show the difference between an amateur and a professional photo. Good quality images also super sharp, and you can crop them in further and they still remain that same sharpness and resolution. So here we can see an example of a good photo on the left and a bad one on the right. The good photo on the left has proper lighting and the photo has been well edited. It uses foreground, midground, and background in order to create depth and interest in the photo, which is a kitchen remodel. The bad image on the right is the same one, but just too dark, not very sharp, and it leads to the viewer wanting to skip the photo in order to find something else that looks more appealing. Now, moving on to videography, videos and photos do go hand in hand, but videos can do more for a business than photos can. They're visually engaging, and you can have a lot of different information in the video, more so than you could put into a photograph. Studies have shown that consumers are 64 to 85% more likely to purchase a product or a service that has some type of video representation with it. So this makes establishing a personal connection with buyers through the means of video marketing a real key element. There are plenty of different types of videos out there, and part of creating an effective content marketing strategy is having a solid understanding of your purpose before you sit down and create that video. So I'm going to show you next just a few examples of different types of videos your business could use and that you could benefit from. First being a product or service video. Products videos show your product's features and benefits and often include examples of how they work, all while still engaging your audience. They're particularly beneficial for consumers who are in that awareness or consideration stage of the buyer's journey, and so the people that just need a clear, comprehensive explanation of what you offer. And there's also saying that people will influence people. So from Yelp reviews to Facebook comments, honest reviews can change our opinion of a product, or it can convince us to buy them. That's what makes testimonial videos so valuable. These videos can clearly show your potential customers the positive impact that your product or service has on real people. Hearing from a customer's voice and seeing a product in action is far more engaging than reading just a paragraph about it. Next one is company culture videos. These videos let customers see who you really are behind the scenes as both individual employees and as a collective company. There's no better way to connect with your customers than by giving them a behind the scenes peek into what's going on at your office. You can also use these type of videos for recruiting purposes and show your potential employees what your work environment's like and how that company culture could suit them for the best. Now we'll talk about how videos can help your business. So more often, a person will share information they identify with the most, allowing your business free exposure to potential clients, friends, families, and followers. And by adding a product video on your landing page, it can increase your conversions by up to 80%. Videos can lead directly to your sales, and studies show that 74% of users who watched an explainer video about a product or service subsequently ended up buying. While images can certainly enhance your business and communicate with the consumer, videos have a much further reaching effect, especially with today's media-driven culture. Video promotions bring a clearer understanding of the benefits of a product or service, and consumers also find it more convenient to watch a video while they're trying to accomplish other tasks at the same time. Google also just loves videos, and videos allow you to increase the time spent by visitors on your site, so that a longer exposure time helps build trust and signals to the search engine that your site has good content on it, thus leading to a better placement on Google's pages. This goes hand in hand with having good SEO or search engine optimization. So sometimes what makes a video bad is not the quality or the content of it, but rather the optimization of it for whatever platform you're putting it on. So if you're wanting to create a video for Instagram, for example, you need to max it out at 60 seconds long for the best results. That's because Instagram only allows 60-second videos that are viewable for that whole length before you have to physically go on, click a few of the buttons to continue watching it through their Reels section. This tends to make consumers keep scrolling, as that extra time spent trying to get to that rest of the video ends up being a waste of time for them. So optimization is for different platforms is key in order to make sure your video is a good one and make it stand out from the rest. Now, obviously, other ways to have your video be a good one are making sure you're shooting with the best quality you can shoot it. So 4K is a really good quality, but it offers super crisp results. But most people are viewing videos on their phone, and you can't see 4K. So 1080p works just as well. So the key here is that you're optimizing your video for the best platform and what your customers are consuming it on. Now, video is not only fun, it's really just one of the best ways to get up close to your audience and give them a real glimpse of what you and your business or your clients are doing. Show them something about your philosophy, or show some information on an event that you have coming up, or offer just some valuable information. The more likely they are to know your positive practice, the more likely they are to stick around in the long term. And to conclude, videos and photos are just key elements when it comes to elevating your business above your competition. Photos can help provide your customers with great visuals about your company, its environment, and the services and products you offer, while videos help even more so to bring in leads and engagement across your website and social media. Both elements go hand in hand with each other and can provide a huge boost to your conversion rates and business across all your platforms. Now, I'll pass off to Megan to wrap us up. Thanks.
All right, thank you so much, Paul, and thank you everybody again so much for attending the webinar. We like to open it up for questions now, but I'm going to leave this up on the screen. If you'd like to reach out to us and set up a discovery meeting to chat about how we can help your business. And if you want, you can scan this QR code here and it takes you straight to a link tree with all of our social media apps as well as our website link. And with that, I'll open up for questions. Thanks.
Megan, thanks. This is Bill back from SCORE, and there are some interesting questions that are starting to come in, and let me just kind of feed those to you, and you can see who's best able to answer them. Way back in the beginning, you talked about secure and unsecure websites, and I've seen that myself, and I've also as a user, when I call up a website and it says unsecure, I do kind of wonder if I should just drop it and move on, because who knows what the consequences are. But what are the actual mechanics of converting a website to one that isn't labeled unsecure? Well, how does that get done?
Yeah, so the simplest way is to just get an SSL certificate, which you can get through any type of web hosting company. Most offer those anyways. You can use anti-malware software. Just make sure your passwords are strong. And then also making sure your site is always backed up as well as up to date, that your software is up to date. Because if it's not up to date, that's basically like a backdoor for hackers.
But you said getting a certificate. Who issues these certificates?
Like I said, just a web hosting company will do that. So for example, we use a web hosting company. There's tons out there, and they will set that up for you. So
you can get a website through a web hosting company without getting a secure website. It's kind of like an added feature.
So what they'll do is basically transfer your hosting over to theirs with an SSL, or you can, get one on your own and add that to your website. It's fairly simple.
Okay. And this is a question from me. In mentoring, a lot of times people have zero in terms of social media and or website, because they're just starting their business. So, and some people have said, oh, well, I guess I could use Facebook. Where do you think it becomes necessary for a business to get a website? At what point?
I really think it depends on, the industry, but I really think that every company should just, get one as soon as they can, just to start building your SEO and being found on Google, or, setting up your Google My Business. But I would say as soon as you can. I would say it's probably one of the first things you should do along with setting up your social media.
I agree with the answer, and it seems like I've heard just the kind of the general concept that if you don't have a website in a lot of people's minds, you're not a real business.
Exactly. Yeah. When people can't find you, again, it's one of those things. It's like, okay, where are you located? I see here you're on Google, but I can't find a website, or they're only on Facebook. And so that kind of turns a lot of customers away. And they may go to one of your competitors who do have a website. And I would also encourage you to figure out, okay, do my competitors have a website? Why or why not? You know, is it an industry thing? Things like that.
So, and what do you think about kind of like the do-it-yourself websites versus hiring somebody?
So, you know, you can most definitely do your own website. I mean, back in college, I used like Squarespace and Wix, but WordPress is awesome as well. You know, it just takes a lot of time. If you have that skill set, definitely go for it and do it yourself, or utilize a template or something. But a lot of the time, clients will come to us because they just don't have the time or the resources or the tools to do it. But if you are going to do, you know, build your own website, you definitely need to make sure it's SEO optimized. You know, the content, that's huge. So when you're building it out, you're going to save yourself a lot of time in the future by starting to optimize your content versus going back through later and having to redo all of the content for the website. So in brief, you can totally do your own website and build it, but you may not have as many of the customizable features you'd want versus like having, you know, a digital marketing agency do it for you, and, you know, build out the like booking widget or appointment making tool and things like that. So it's mostly just a time saver to have somebody else do it and save you a headache.
Yeah, right. I mean, people have different skill sets, and some people are already potentially able to do that quite easily. What is what are a few of the names of the kind of do-it-yourself places that they could go to just start the research?
Research for building websites.
What tool they might want to use?
So I mean, Wix is fine. I recommend Squarespace over Wix because Wix is not mobile optimized, which I mentioned. Google's now ranking mobile friendly websites way higher. So Wix is still great. So definitely check it out. Squarespace is nice. You don't have as much freedom for customability because you would need to have like HTML and CSS skill set to build that type of thing out. But they have amazing templates to start with, things like that. But if you have, a little bit more background in website building and things like that, I would say WordPress is really awesome. We use WordPress. It's where most companies like to start because they have so many different plugins that you can use to make it user friendly, or just different like widget tools for your website. So WordPress is a great starting point as well if you just also want to have a basic website. So I would start there in terms of research and kind of compare pricing plans as well. So, because those also vary from tool to tool.
While you were talking, someone said, what about GoDaddy?
So we have a lot of clients who come to us who use GoDaddy, and GoDaddy is okay. But personally, I don't think they have the personnel to really build you a foolproof website. We have UX, I know other companies offer UX and things like that. I've just not heard the best things from other clients who have actually switched over to us or other companies because they've just had issues. So GoDaddy's fine, but I would encourage you to look at some other tools for sure.
One of the things that comes up too when I'm mentoring is the domain name. So if someone comes to you and they don't have the domain name yet, what do you advise them about choosing a domain name, buying a domain name, owning a domain name? What can you tell them about that?
So I'll do my best to answer this one. But you know, with talking to Michael and SEO, I think that plays a huge role. So what people are searching for in Google to find your website, you want to try and include within your domain name. Definitely, if you can find, you know, just your business's name for the URL and domain, that would be ideal. But I think definitely understanding what people are looking for in Google will help you kind of decide that as well.
And everybody's probably seeing this on their screen, but Donna said, in her opinion, Wix is not easy to get out of once you start in it. Any comment on that?
Yeah, so I actually switched out of Wix about a year ago, and yes, I agree. It was not easy. I just had to sit on the phone. That's the best advice I could give, is just you have to call and talk to customer support. It was a little bit of a hassle, but if you can hang in there, just, you know, give them a call and they'll transfer it for you. They'll walk you through the transfer of the domain process. So that can also be really tricky. So yes, I just recommend calling support, say, I need to transfer my domain from Wix over to whatever software tool or website you're going to be using instead. And they will walk you through that process over the phone.
You know, we have a similar problem when we're mentoring people who are starting a business. They always are low budget. Well, not always, but quite often low budget. And they're nervous about contacting professionals. You know, we might suggest they need to talk to a lawyer about something, or they need to talk to an accountant about something. And also they might need to talk to a marketing firm or digital marketing firm about something. And they have no idea in their head, like, am I wasting my time if I don't have $10,000, or am I going to just, you know, talk to somebody and get a bill and I can't really benefit from that? How do you suggest they approach marketing companies, knowing that they're very cautious about the funds they're going to spend?
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely, you know, be upfront whenever you're talking to, you know, an agency, and say, you know, this is my budget. I can't go over it. Or, you know, I would also really encourage you to look at non-for-profit agencies who will build you websites for free. There are tons of resources out there as well. You can look for freelancers. Freelancers are also another great option if you don't have deep pockets. Students, college students, they want to always build their portfolios. So they're maybe more willing to offer their services for free for you in exchange for portfolio work. So those are just a few ideas off the top of my head. And, you know, being a new graduate within the past few years, I was always willing to find people out there who needed work done for a website, or, you know, maybe just design a few pages for them in exchange to feature them on my portfolio. So there are definitely people out there who will do that. But yeah, just being upfront and saying, you know, this is my budget, or, you know, I don't have a budget. So what can you do from there? But yeah.
Let's talk for a second about explainer videos. I'm noticing more of them, like when I'm shopping on Amazon, and there's, you know, 10 vendors, but one of them has I didn't know the term, but I've learned it now, explainer video. I look at that, like, you know, even if I'm buying a backpack, if they have a video show, they unzip this and zip that up and fill it up and put it on a scale and show how light it is and pour water on it and all this other good stuff. That seems really, really effective. how do people get a good explainer video done?
Yeah, so a lot of people just like explainer videos because it just like it just demonstrates what you're actually going to get. And so like you can get a good explainer video by, you can find obviously videographers that can do it, or a digital marketing company. But once you like understand what your audience, who you're selling that product to or that service to, is looking for, you're better able to figure out, okay, so they want to know how this works. They're probably going to ask this question or that question. And during your video, you can make sure to hit all those points and explain that all to them while showing the video and making it engaging and making it not like a PowerPoint where you're showing it, show the actual product or the actual service in effect, and just demonstrate it that way so people can see exactly what they're getting.
Right, right. So we're down to the end of the questions here, and it's only 3 minutes over 1 hour. So if people are hanging in there, that's great. Did Megan or Paul or Jake, did you want to make any last comments here before we call it a day?
Yeah, there was a question about from Lanessa, the video length for TikTok. Between like 9 and 15 seconds, you can make 3-minute long videos now on TikTok. You might have to have like a certain amount of followers, but yeah, they just extended it to 3 minutes. But I've seen those people either do them really well, 3-minute video, or they do it really bad. So you have to also see like what your market is for. Like I've seen some businesses on TikTok like showing like a whole, let's say like a construction process, and they need the full 3 minutes and people want to watch the whole 3 minutes. But if you can shorten it down to like 15 seconds, people's attention spans aren't that long, and they want to see, okay, I can show them this in this amount of time, short and sweet, and they can move on to the next thing. So I would say 9 to 15 seconds, just depending on what you're doing and what you're wanting to show.
Good. I'm glad you caught that last question there. Any other closing comments, Megan, Jake?
Yes. So before you guys go, if you would like a free SEO audit, which is basically us checking your website to see kind of what like how you are doing with keyword research or how you rank in comparison with your competitors, and how they're doing, you can go ahead and email us at info@advancedxp.com. We would just really like your first and last name, your business name, your business website if you have one, and then just mention that you're coming from the webinar, and we will get that to you hopefully within the next week or so. So you guys can kind of see how you're ranking in comparison to your competitors. And that's our gift to you guys for staying through the webinar. We really appreciate it. And we also are going to be doing a part 2. This one's going to touch more so on branding, but we also kind of want to speak more on SEO and hopefully have Michael for this next one. And he could do maybe a little bit better job than I did explaining SEO and kind of the nitty gritty and what goes into it. So yeah, thank you.
Real
guys.
quick, Megan, there's a few more questions that came through. One's from JL. He asked, how many times should you post per day or week on Instagram or Facebook?
Yes. So I think I mentioned Facebook. We usually do, I like to switch off. So 1 week we do about 2, the next we do 3. But that depends on your audience and when they're online and how often they're looking at your posts. Instagram, it also varies. I would say, Instagram stories daily. And honestly, a lot more than you would think. Some people will post like 10 stories a day, but maybe that's not practical for you. But I would say, stories are starting to be more prominent, as well as, TikTok and Reels. So I would say it kind of goes the same for Facebook and Instagram. They're kind of, they have the same-ish algorithm, both being owned by Facebook. So I would say, 3 to 4 times a week, but Instagram stories a lot more. And those are definitely daily as well.
Yeah, and there's also one more you or Jake might also be able to touch on it. It's from Lanessa again. Are there any sites to find students or freelancers? I know of Fiverr. That's
Fiverr.
all it is freelancers, and they have freelancers for just about everything. And you can find, like, to be able to pick someone who's good, I would just look at their like reviews and how many stars they have. If they have 5 stars and 600 reviews, they're probably good at what they're doing. They have all these different prices, and you can message them directly and ask and explain exactly what you want done. I'll type the website in the chat for that. But I don't really know any other websites. I don't know if you guys do, but all I know is a Fiverr for sure.
So I think the only other thing I can think of, if you want to get in contact with maybe like students who you want to collaborate with, like you can like go to like a school's website and find like a department head and send out an email to like a department head and see if they had any students available to do some extra work. And typically they'll send out your email to like the entire students, all the students who are in that same department.
Yes, and then I also am part of an organization called Benefit Design. It's all volunteer based. They only, I think, help certain types of businesses. So you'll have to kind of see if you fall into that those categories. They're nonprofit right now. But if you type in, if Paul, you want to type this in the chat for me, it's just benefit.design. It's started by a group of Purdue University students. So
Is that benefit.design?
.design. Yep.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Pamela, what you asked something to be put in chat. What email address were you looking for?
Fiverr, I think.
Oh, Fiverr.
I got the Fiverr link. I don't know what she asked for an email address, and
info at Advanced XP, if that's what you're wondering. I don't know if you can still see it on the screen or not.
info at Advanced XP. I'll just type it in chat.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay, we did it. This was great, and this team will be coming back even stronger with with their leader in September. It'll also be sponsored by OneZone. It'll be on their calendar, and the topic will be branding. We look forward to that. It'll be great, and this is I think a really great format. So thanks to everybody who stuck with us, watch this, learn from it. You'll be getting your email with slides that'll be made available, as well as the link to the video. And okay, I'm going to close this. And again, thanks everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone.